In this Revit and Enscape tutorial, we will model and render this reading corner concept design. Before we begin, if you find this video helpful, please consider supporting my work on Patreon to get access to this project file along with over 100 Revit project files. Your support on Patreon helps me create new videos every week. Now let's get started. So first we will start by creating a room. I'm going to press WA on the keyboard to select wall and we'll create a room here. Once we create the walls, let's go ahead and create the floor. I will quickly hide the scope boxes. Now we can go ahead and copy this floor to level 2 to create a roof. If you notice, the walls are overlapping with the roof, so I am going to join them. Once that's done, let's go back to the top view and I am going to create a curtain wall here. Let's change the height to 9 feet and let's create curtain wall here like so. Now let's take a look in 3D. Perfect. Let's quickly remove the horizontal mullions, but first I will change the vertical spacing to 4 feet and then remove the horizontal mullions. Now let's go ahead and create the ceiling. Let's go to the ceiling plan. Select ceiling. I'm going to use pick lines and give a 4 inches offset on all the walls because we want to create a cove light. Let's quickly edit the ceiling. I'm going to remove the ceiling finish and put 2 inches of thickness here. Perfect. Moving on, let's create a slat wall. I'm going to be using the curtain wall to create that. I will put 2 inches spacing for the vertical mullions. As I have explained in my other videos, we'll remove the horizontal mullions and we need to remove the curtain panel as well. Let's create it from here, then we'll move to the wall. Once that's done, I'm going to create a section here and drag this slat wall to the roof. Perfect. Moving on, I want to create an arch niche here. We'll create an in-place component. Let's create a sweep here. As usual, first we need to set the work plane. Let's pick this face. Then click on sketch path and I'm going to create a path here. Once we create the path, first click finish and then go to the top view to create the sweep profile. We will create the profile here. Let's move it to the center of the reference plane. Now this time we need to click this check mark twice. Let's take a look at it in 3D. Okay, we don't need this bottom part, so let's go ahead and edit sweep, then sketch path, and let's remove this line. Perfect. Let's reset the isolated elements. Now I will quickly add a material parameter to this sweep. Now let's start the Enscape and set up the camera view. I'm going to double click to zoom in onto the model. First, let's open up the visual settings, and I'm going to rename this preset. And then let's change the camera position to 2-point perspective, and I will use field of view slider to zoom in onto the scene like so. And let's readjust the camera position. Once satisfied, we can go ahead and save it. Make sure you have linked the same preset and adjust the sun position. Now let's click create. Okay, I just noticed I forgot to add the window to this curtain wall. So let's go ahead and do that. First, we will pause Enscape. I'm going to use a window family from this blocks plugin. I have created a video about this plugin. You can check that out. The link will be in the description. Okay, let's use this one. So the window has been loaded, but as you can see, it cannot be placed on the curtain wall. So to add it to this curtain panel, we need to use a trick. First, let's press escape to deselect the window. Then tap select the panel, unpin it, and let's replace it with a wall. I will use a 4-inch wall. Now we can easily place a window on this wall. Let's go to the front view and check the height and width of this panel. And put the same for the window as well. Then move it to the corner. So we have added the window family to this curtain panel. Now let's start creating the materials in Revit so that we can edit them in the Enscape. I'm going to create a new material for each of the objects on which I want to apply different materials. So I have created the materials in Revit. Now let's split both windows and start editing the materials in the Enscape material editor. Before that, let's unhide the floor. First, I am going to edit the wall texture. I will be using this one. Let's change the size of this texture. And then I am going to use the same texture for the bump, or rather for the displacement map. We should leave this value at around 0.3% for better results. So we have created the material for the walls. Now let's move on to the slat wall. I will be using an Enscape material for this slat wall. Let's use a plaster material. We only need the bump map, so I'm going to remove the texture image and change the color. For the floor and the ceiling, I'm also going to be using materials from the Enscape material library. Now I will quickly apply the materials to the other objects in the scene. On this arch, I want to apply a different material. So to do that, we need to use the split face tool. And I'm going to select the split face tool, select this face, and then use pick lines, and we'll just pick this arch. Once that's done, we need to create a new material. Let's go to Manage, Materials, and I'm going to just copy this one. If you are using an older version of Revit, you will need to click this Duplicate this asset button. Otherwise, the changes will apply to the main material as well. Anyway, now we can use the Paint tool and apply this new material to this arch, like so. Now let's open up the Enscape material editor, and I'm going to make it a little darker. We'll just apply the tint. So we have created a different material for this arch. Now let's start adding the assets to the scene. I will be using some custom assets as well as some assets from the Enscape library. But first I will load this bookshelf family that we modeled in the previous video. If you haven't watched that yet, I suggest you check that out if you are interested in learning about creating parametric Revit families. Anyway, I will get back to you once I place all the components. So I have added the components. Here I think we should just reduce the size of this sweep profile. So I will quickly do that. I'm going to go to the floor plan. Let's double click it and edit the sweep. And then I'm going to scale it down like so. Once we have edited this sweep, we need to edit this wall as well. As you can see, we have this edge showing up here. We just need to select that and click edit boundary. I'm going to use align, and we'll just align the vertical lines and the arch will automatically update. Now I will quickly add a picture frame on this arch niche from the blocks plugin. Alright, now let's add the lights to the scene. First I am going to add this recessed ceiling light. I will just add one and then copy. Now let's create an array. Before copying them to this side, we need to ungroup them. Let's go ahead and create the cove lights. For that, first I am going to load this LED strip light family that you can download for free from cadneeds.com. Let's select the ceiling, and I'm going to press BX to create a section box. Then I will select the ceiling again and press HI to isolate the ceiling. This way we can easily add this strip light family. I am going to add one strip light at each corner of the ceiling. And let's align it to the bottom face of the ceiling, like so. Once we have done that, let's go back to the ceiling plan and we will check the dimension and put the same dimension in the length parameter of this LED strip light. There you go. Now we need to repeat that with all the lighting families we have added. There is a quick way to do it. You can double click the dimension and copy the values and paste the values you just copied here. I will quickly repeat that with the rest of these families. So I have added the lights. As you can see, it's looking something like this. Okay, I forgot to apply the materials to this bookshelf. I will quickly create materials in Revit. And then I will open up the Enscape material editor. And for this one, I will be using plastic material. I will just remove the texture and change the color from here. As for the LED cylinder light, I am going to change the material type from generic to self-illuminated, and we'll just change the color of it to make it a little warmer. Perfect. Next, let's create the background image. I have made a video about this trick a long time ago on my channel. You can check that out for an in-depth explanation. Here, let's create a curved wall. Now let's go to 3D, and I'm just going to select this one and drag it from the top and the bottom like this. We just want to cover the whole curtain wall. Now let's create a new decal type. I'm going to use this image as the background. Make sure the finish is set to matte. Now let's place the decal on this wall, and I'm going to increase the size of it. Let's change the visual style to realistic. Let's take a look at it in Enscape. As you can see, we have got this cool background here. We might need to resize the decal. First, I will move this wall a little bit and then resize the decal. Now it looks perfect and matches the scene. Now I think our scene is ready to be exported. But first I'm going to make a few changes. I'm going to rotate the floor texture. And it's looking better now. Next I'm going to edit the ceiling. We want to reduce the gap that we created for the cove lights. I'm going to make them all 2 inches so that the cove lights look better. If you notice, the scene is looking too yellowish. That's because of this LED cove lights. So let's change the color of these LED lights. Let's go back to Revit, and I'm going to select this lighting family and click on edit family. Here I am going to tab select this light source and click edit group and then edit properties. Here I am going to change the color filter. Let's choose a lighter color. And I'm going to change the initial color to 3000, and I want to lower down the initial intensity as well. Now let's close the group and then load this family back into the project. Make sure you click on override the existing version, not override the existing version and its parameters. Otherwise it will change the sizes of the lights that we put earlier. Anyway, let's go back to Enscape, and as you can see, we now have this cool cove lights. Now let's go ahead and prepare the final render settings. Before that, I'm going to readjust the camera view. So let's open up the view management, and here I'm going to click on edit. I'm going to turn on save frame mode so that we'll know which part of the screen will be rendered. Now I'm going to open up the visual settings and change the output size to 4000 by 3000 pixels. And then I'm going to zoom in using the field of view slider. Once that's done, let's go ahead and save the camera view. Let's open up the visual settings again. As usual, first I am going to add outlines to highlight the edges. Around 5% works fine. And then I'm going to increase the exposure and the rendering quality to ultra. In the image tab, I'm going to reduce highlights, shadows, and saturation a little bit. And we want to increase the color temperature to add a cool lighting effect. And I will remove all effects except for bloom. In the atmosphere tab, I'm going to remove fog, lower down the sun brightness, and I will remove shadow sharpness and play around with the artificial light brightness to match the scene. I think we should increase the exposure. So let's go back to the main tab and increase the exposure. Since it is an interior rendering, I'm going to leave the sky settings as they are. In the output tab, let's choose JPEG as the file format. And let's press Ctrl+1, the shortcut key I set to export the rendering. So the rendering has been exported and it's looking pretty good. So this was a workflow of creating an interior scene using Revit and Enscape. That's it for this video. I hope you have learned something new. If you found this video helpful, please consider supporting my work on Patreon and get access to this project file along with over 100 Revit projects. Your support on Patreon helps me create new videos every week. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.